Imagine pulling a gold coin from your pocket. You know with absolute certainty that centuries from now, your descendants could spend that exact same coin anywhere in the known world, and nobody would ever question if it was real. Imagine a piece of money so universally trusted that a merchant thousands of miles away, who does not speak your language or recognize your king, will gladly hand over his life's work just to hold it. That actually happened. One coin remained the undisputed bedrock of global trade, while entire civilizations rose and fell around it. For over 700 years, it survived plagues, invasions, and the collapse of the ancient world. But if this coin was so perfect, how did it eventually become entirely worthless? And what does its catastrophic collapse reveal about the money sitting in your bank account right now? To understand how a single piece of metal conquered the world, picture yourself as a merchant in the ancient Mediterranean. You arrive at a bustling port ready to trade, but you face a paralyzing problem. The market is an absolute chaos of conflicting currencies. Every petty warlord mints their own money. You are handed coins from kingdoms you have never heard of. Are they pure? Have they been shaved down? You have absolutely no way of knowing. Every transaction is a gamble. Money is supposed to be a bridge between strangers, but in the ancient world, it was a wall of suspicion. Out of this financial chaos stepped Constantine the Great. He had just birthed the Byzantine Empire, but he knew that massive armies and towering stone walls were never going to be enough to secure a dynasty. An empire is only as strong as its money. In the early 4th century, he introduced a brand new coin called the Solidus. The name itself was a bold statement. Solid, dependable, unchanging. He decreed that every single solidus must be struck from pure, unadulterated gold, weighing exactly 4.5 grams. The real genius of the solidus was the terrifying discipline of the men who minted it. To counterfeit or alter a solidus was an act of high treason against the emperor himself. For over 700 years, through the chaotic reigns of more than 60 emperors, the solidus never changed its weight. It never lost its purity. Imagine a government resisting the intense temptation to print free money for 10 lifetimes. This stubborn consistency unleashed an economic miracle. The solidus became the world's first true international reserve currency, the measuring stick against which all other value on earth was judged. Because it was entirely trusted, it effortlessly transcended the borders of the Byzantine Empire. A trader from Damascus could negotiate with a silk merchant from China using a solidus, and the deal was instantly done. The coin spoke the only language that truly mattered. Archaeologists have unearthed these coins in Scandinavia, dropped by Viking mercenaries, and deep in the Sahara Desert. This global dominance gave the Byzantine Empire a godlike advantage. They could hire massive foreign armies and buy off bloodthirsty kings simply by sending them chests of gold. The empire's political credibility became inseparable from the integrity of its currency, but vast wealth is never a substitute for discipline. As the calendar turned toward the 11th century, the Byzantine Empire began to bleed out. Expanding borders required massive armies. The imperial bureaucracy swelled into a bloated machine of corruption. Then, fierce new enemies poured into the empire. The royal treasury rapidly drained. The emperor needed money immediately to save his civilization, but there was no more gold in the vaults. Faced with bankruptcy, the government decided to cheat. To understand how they did this, imagine you have a pitcher of pure lemonade. You promised exactly 1 glass to 10 people. Suddenly, 15 thirsty people show up and you have no more lemons. The honest choice is to admit you are out. The dishonest choice is to secretly pour tap water into the pitcher. You can now serve 15 glasses, but the lemonade is weak and diluted. You solved your immediate problem, but you ruined the product. This is exactly what the later Byzantine emperors did. They melted down the pure solidi in the treasury, secretly mixed the gold with cheap base metals like copper, and reminted the coins. By adding cheap metal, the emperor miraculously created new money out of thin air. But an empire cannot lie to the free market forever. International traders quickly noticed that the newly minted coins felt just a tiny bit lighter. The color was slightly off, carrying a sickly greenish tint. The bright ring of pure gold was entirely gone, replaced by a dull, heavy thud. A terrifying whisper began in the grand bazaars. The emperor is cheating. Once that whisper started, it became a deafening roar. This brings us to the destructive force of inflation. Purchasing power is how much real stuff your money can actually buy you. If the local shoemaker realizes your gold coin is secretly half copper, He is going to demand 2 coins for a pair of boots. The boots are not magically becoming more expensive. The money itself is becoming worthless. As the emperors pumped more copper into the Solidus, prices absolutely exploded. A sack of grain that cost 1 coin on Monday might cost 3 by Friday. The psychological impact was devastating. Generational savings evaporated as the purchasing power of the money completely collapsed. Panic swept the empire. The undisputed world reserve currency lost its status. Arab merchants demanded the coins be tested with fire, and when they saw the green copper bleeding through, they packed up their caravans and went home. Without the absolute trust of the global market, the massive Byzantine economy ground to a halt. When a highly motivated invading force arrived at the borders, the emperor found his treasury full of ugly, worthless coins that nobody wanted. The military collapsed, and the once mighty Byzantine Empire rapidly shrank into a hollow shadow of its former self. It is incredibly easy to look back at the emperors in Constantinople and judge them harshly. We believe our complex financial systems and modern central banks have outgrown the mistakes of the ancient world. But human nature has not changed a single degree. The intense political temptation to magically solve today's painful problems by sacrificing tomorrow's stability is a deadly trap. Money is not a shiny yellow disc or a piece of green paper. It is a massive collective hallucination. It is the ultimate expression of trust between strangers. When you accept currency for your hard labor, you are trusting the future itself. For 1,000 years, the Byzantine Empire guarded that trust with its life. But the exact moment they prioritized temporary political convenience over permanent economic discipline, a hidden clock started ticking on their total destruction. Empires are not held together by gold. They are held together entirely by trust. Look carefully around at the world today. We live in an era where trillions can be created out of thin air with the simple press of a keyboard. Our modern empires manage staggering mountains of debt by continuously expanding the supply of money. The pitcher of lemonade is still being secretly watered down while we are not looking. The agonizing collapse of the longest-lasting currency in human history proves one undeniable truth. You can easily print money. You can secretly dilute metal. You can forcefully command armies to enforce your laws. But you can never, ever print trust. And once it is gone, the empire falls with it. If you had lived 1,000 years ago, would you have trusted the Solidus with your life savings? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden financial stories that secretly rule our history, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and remember that the true cost of history is always paid in the future.